Hey, Stoney here with another game of Mechabellum, and in this game, we're watching two titans going at it against each other. At the bottom here, we have SaraTzch playing as a supply specialist, and he's up against SaraTzch playing as a Rhino specialist. Both of these players has been dominating at the top of the leaderboards, both for their own division, but as well as for the world. SaraTzch, he has been in this game forever. He's got over 4,000 wins under his name. And yeah, I think he's arguably one of the best players in the current Mechabellum world. SaraTzch is also an extremely dominating player. He took a short break for about a month, but before then, he was just taking on big names left and right. SaraTzch is known to have a very creative take on the state of the game. We often see him trying out different type of strategies. He was one of the earlier players that really experimented with aggro, and she even pushed it further, right? If you watch SaraTzch's game on my channel maybe a couple months back, you notice how she likes to play not just aggro asymmetrically, she likes to play aggro symmetrically as well, constantly mobile beaconing left and right. So a very dynamic player, Sarah. SaraTzch needs no introduction. I mean, he is known to be very aggressive. He's one of his favorite play style is asym aggro. He likes to have units on the line. He likes to give a lot of pressure. He likes to find holes in your opponent's board and push those buttons. So I'm very excited to cast this game live, and let's watch this game and let's talk about what are some of the strategies and reasons behind these strategies that these top players make. All right, we're getting into round 3, and this game is already drawing a crowd because we know just how strong these two players are. SaraTzch with the Assault Marksman coming in at the front here and the Tarantula support. Sarah is going for double flank. One is the flank directly coming down from the line, and the other one is coming from a teleportation flank on the side. So it's going to be a double debuff, even though SaraTzch was winning the frontal war convincingly, pretty convincingly, but with the double debuff and with the Farseer still on the board, I think that's going to be a win for Sarah on round 2. All right, going to round 3, we have a reinforcement drop. Rhino Assault is being taken by SaraTzch, and both is Rhino, and I think it makes sense. I think for SaraTzch, mostly it's just trying to draw some firepower away from the center. I'm surprised actually the Rhino is going onto this side because the tower is upgraded, which means the Rhino will take a bit to get down to capture that tower. With Sarah, he is putting down the Rhino directly in the center, allowing it to go to either tower. Currently, there is no defense in the center because SaraTzch had only 2 deployments, so he had to use one on the side of the crawlers and the other one to the other side of the crawlers on the line. So this is a deadly move by Sarah, having the Rhino in the middle, because it will guarantee at least one tower before SaraTzch's Rhino is able to get to this tower in the middle. Wow, I thought this pack of crawlers was going to go into here. So this is a classic example of how high-level players is able to play this sort of mind game. We have the missiles here. The missile, what it does is it will slow this Rhino. So regardless which way the Rhino is going to go, it will slow down the Rhino. It's not going to pull any of the units back to defend the tower because the Rhino is just too far from any of the army units. And right now, let's hope we're going to get tower on the SaraTzch side, and let's hope SaraTzch is able to clean up the army before his tower gets captured. So like I was saying, what Sarah essentially did in that particular game was he set up that initial double prong flank with these 2 crawlers, expecting a double prong defense in this following turn, and then knowing that there's not going to be any additional deployments for those defense units, He put down the Rhino in the middle. So a very heads-up play here from Sara. Shield drop is taken by Sara. I think it's just to give it a little bit of protection. He is running steel balls, which means shield is not going to be as effective for Sacco. It looks like Sacco decided to skip on this particular one, and I do agree with that. Sara now noticing weakness on the other side of the board, so he started piling up, initially just with steel balls and a level 2 Rhino. Now, the problem that Sara is going to run into, and Sacco very clearly answered, is with the replicating crawlers. Replicating crawlers are typically annoying, but it's especially annoying when you're running into enemy crawlers with no chaff clear. I mean, you could argue that Rhino is kind of a chaff clear. It does have a 6-meter range, even though being a melee unit. So it should be able to take care of some of these crawlers, but it's just so annoying because you'll be stuck on these crawlers for so long. Wow, very fortunately, I suppose, the Rhino is beelining directly towards the tower because his own crawlers actually delayed those replicating crawlers. Now, of course, he'll have to deal with these replicating crawlers because the steel balls are just having a hard time with that. But it looks like it doesn't have to, because with the tower debuff, and Sacco is going to lose the fight with this main army. And the rest of his army is just going to come back and mop up all the other crawlers. Alright, we're going back into round 5. And round 5 is going to be additional pressure coming from the left-hand side by Sara. Is realizing that there was a problem with those replicating crawlers, so he had to answer. And the answer is extremely definitive. For one, is matching with the replicating technology on his own crawlers, which means right now none of the crawlers is going to win. And 2 is adding a Wraith, and that's going to be Wraith from both sides with degen beam. So none of these crawlers are going to be moving very fast, and very interesting. So the degen beam actually works better for Sara than it does for Sacco because of the steel balls. Degen beam does slow down the unit a little bit, but I think the damage debuff coming in from this Marksman, right, I think it's just a little bit too strong. Looking at the board here, still getting the tower on the left-hand side, so that's going to spell disaster for Sacco, even though he does have a few of these Marksmen left over. Now, looking at this board, I think there's going to be a bit of a scaling issue moving forward. On the side of SaraTzch, I think the steel balls tend to scale just a little bit better than Assault Marksman because of his huge amount of HP. Assault Marksman's damage does not scale as quickly as the HP from these steel balls, which means, even if they're on the same level, the Marksman will have to take 2 shots to get rid of 1 steel ball, and there are 4 in a pack. Now, of course, with the Assault mode, they can get 2 in 1 shot, well, 2 shots. But if the steel ball is 1 level ahead of the Marksman, it doubles the amount of shots that it requires. So in this case, we'll actually take about 3. Actually, no, it doesn't double. So instead of 4, it'll be 3 shots from this level 2 Marksman onto this level 3 steel balls. There's always the option to take armor, and if you do take armor, then it will take 4 shots from a Marksman that is 1 level lower. Looking at the board here just going to be a double underground fighting for control at Sacco's side. Whoever wins that fight is able to get to the tower, but right now it looks like Sara is missing a single attack upgrade, which means Sacco is going to win the crawler fight. Lots of things going on here on the main army engagement, but the real MVP of the last 2 rounds have been on the left-hand side, where Sara has been pushing extremely hard, getting units directly to that tower. How will Sako defend against this? This is a very tough question because there's simply not enough damage here from Sako. We got 3 level 1 assault marksmen. We got a bolt, a wraith. Is that enough to bring all the steel balls down? Well, it looks like it might, because with the help of the Overlord, I think what really happened last round was that it got stuck onto the Rhino. But with the help of the Overlord, it might just have enough damage to take down this army. At least long enough for it to get tower. Looking on the other side of the board, it looks like Sako is also winning. This Farseer is doing a ton of damage to these air units, but it is... Somehow Sako was able to get that back now with multiple level 2 assault marksmen. Wow, this is a very back and forth game because there is no clear counter. Both of these units are, both of these boards are extremely balanced, right? If you're looking at each one of these boards, it's got chaff gear, chaff, anti-unit, and now Sako is coming down with photon bolts, a direct answer to the degen being coming from this Wraith. The steel balls are doing okay, but I think they might be running out of large units for them to really use the energy absorption on. We now have a level 4 marksman. This marksman will 2-shot these level 3 steel balls, which means it will get to the steel balls even if the steel balls can latch on with the energy absorption. Sara continues to push on this side. Both parties now adding photon bolts, completely negating the degen being effect, which is quite necessary, right? Because whoever is under the influence of degen being will suffer for a 20% attack reduction, 30% damage taken, and of course a speed reduction. So it's quite a hefty debuff here. All right, we're gonna focus our attention on both sides of the board. I think for me, I'm paying more attention on the left-hand side simply because that's the side that's being pushed every single round. Now looking at the board here, I think it makes sense next round for Sara to add some late arriving crawlers, seeing how quickly the Wraith was being brought down by that boat. Sako is going to win on the right hand side though, and I don't believe there's going to be a tower capture here just yet. Yeah, no tower capture, and another round goes to Sako. And this is going to be a huge round with multiple giants still left over, but the HP is just so darn close, and that shows how evenly matched these two players are. All right, very interesting. A deployment module was picked by Sara, and I wonder if she is completely shifting her focus over to the other side. I think having the Farseer over on the other side makes sense. Now going to be level 3, and the Farseer is going to punch to both of these large units, namely the Wraith as well as the Overlord. And I wouldn't mind if Sara adds another squad of crawlers coming in at the back end. Now instead, it's going to be the high-level steel balls. The high-level steel balls has just been constantly being targeted by this high-level marksman. Now we got 2 level 4 marksmen, so that steel ball is not going to be able to do any damage. But it does have a chance on the other side against these level 2 marksmen, able to tank at least 3 shots from these level 2 marksmen. Even more boats are being added, so it is going to be a heavy offensive on the left-hand side. And I wonder if Sara is able to get that. And if he is able to get that, then there might be a chance for him to win on the right-hand side as well. All right away, we start to notice that most of the units on the right hand side is actually being destroyed, and the left side tower is still not taken. In fact, some of the units are spilling over, most notably this level 4 marksman. So it looks like Sako is going to have this game with his stellar defense and high level assault marksman. Very well played. I think this is an extremely close game, but in the end of the day, these tiny little decisions, these tiny nuances is what made the game. So congratulations, great game. Anyways, if you're not jumping back into the game right away, I highly recommend this video. Check it out, and I'll see you on the next one.
Prepare your tactics. shadows calling. Deploy your fortress. The battlefield's alive with swarms.